there in Philadelphia for the Sixers. And the Raptors also looking very confident as they've won 3 games on the road already in this postseason, including game 1 of this series. 2 confident teams.
When I first saw him, I jokingly said, "You look different as a college graduate." He beamed and said, "You know, I feel different." Well, that was the last smile we got from Vince Carter. To say that he put on a game face may sound like a cliche, but it would also be an understatement. It was clear that he wanted to separate these 2 events. He told me that he's glad the graduation ceremony is over and he just wants to focus now on Game 7. When I asked him about the criticism he's taken during the last 48 hours, some of it from his fellow teammates, he first said he didn't want to comment about it and then said, "I don't care, I just want to play."
What he has done has been a remarkable accomplishment. And while we want to credit that, we also have to be careful not to get too caught up in the ceremony, in the recognition of that, and realize that there is a big battle, a battle today, a fresh game to be won.
You know what? A few jump shots early, the teammates will forget that he was not here with the team last night. If he plays great, they will love him.
Caution criticism now, but if things don't go well, he has really opened himself up, Bill.
It is Sportsfeld Storytime. We are stepping back to May 20th, 2001, Game 7, Raptors 76ers, the first real heartbreak. At the First Union Center, Vince Carter versus AI. They had just had dueling 50-point games. The Raptors, I mean, you know how this ends, but here's how it started. Vince Carter had just gotten off a plane from North Carolina to Philly to attend graduation from North Carolina. And boy, the first couple minutes of this game is very Game 7, very sloppy, very ugly. You can tell the nerves setting in for both teams.
All right, guys, in such a game like this, when do the unbelievable nerves wear off and you settle down?
I've always felt like about the first 8 minutes is all energy, emotion, and then the last 40 comes down to best team execution. As guys start to get tired, they slow down, they perform better.
You're not nervous in these games. It's what you live for. It's what you train your whole life to play in these moments. Anxious, not nervous.
I'm trying hard not to just do this whole thing drawing parallels from, and maybe this is just the notion of a Game 7, but like it was just, the NBA was already played so tight then to begin with, as we were sort of talking about in the last episode, but the nerves plus like the way offenses ran, like it was just not a fun first quarter to watch at all.
A couple of small things. The broadcast team, I forgot how great it is to hear Bill Walton calling NBA games.
I like how like direct Bill Walton is about being like, you, like he talks to the players on the court. It's just like, you shouldn't do that.
And an Easter egg in the background, if you're watching this on YouTube, which is findable on YouTube with a Macedonian Valencia fan, is what you can see young Jack Armstrong in the background with the Swersk right behind Lenny Wilkins. His hair looks unbelievable. It's so good. My first big takeaway from this, I have my notes written with me. Are we sure Antonio Davis wasn't fucking incredible? Because he
was a monster.
He beats up Dikembe Mutombo, who is like Defensive Player of the Year candidate at this point. He is unbelievable in this game.
I don't remember a lot of the 82 games of this regular season, obviously, but like his ability just to bully his way inside and seemingly without contest against Dikembe Mutombo, just have his way at the rim. There's so many rebounds in this game that he's the only one near them.
He's hitting turnarounds, he's hitting hook shots, he's hitting floaters. I had no idea Antonio Davis's game was that well-rounded. He finished with 23. He shot 73% from the field and had 9 rebounds. He's a plus 23 net rating in this game, which is a plus 11 on, a minus 12 off. That's the best for the Raptors, and the only Raptor besides Del Curry to have a positive plus minus. I mean, when you only play 8 guys, that's going to happen. But there is some sort of sliding doors moment because he gets hurt late in the third and then he comes back out to start the fourth quarter. They don't do well without him. they're in real trouble. Another guy that stood out to me, Charles Oakley. Every time I made a note about Oakley, I can't decide if this was a good Oakley game or a bad Oakley game.
Yeah, I had the same thought.
Because like he hits these spot up jumpers and you're like, oh, nice work. And he gets 10 boards, like, oh, that's good. But man, he's falling out of bounds. He's throwing passes away. He's a -17 net rating, worse than the team. A very frustrating Charles Oakley experience. It's
weird because, like, as we sort of talked about last episode, he has so many open shots because of the way the Sixers were defending Vince. Like so many plays as Vince driving into the lane and finding Oakley like in the corner from 16 feet, and Oakley just having these little spots, and he hits most of it. Like, he didn't shoot particularly terribly, but he just, for a guy who is both 38 years old and had won multiple NBA titles and played on some of the, if not the greatest teams of all time, he really sort of just seemed like rattled.
Yeah. For every good thing he does something really frustrating right after it. Raptors down 10 after 1. There is one, the absolute classic. Vince gets the ball at the elbow, pivots twice, and hits a fadeaway. Man, was that ever my absolute jam when I was 15 years old. That's all I ever wanted to do in my life was hit that jab step fadeaway.
Yeah, the Vince fadeaways were always great. I also like there's one, I think it's in the second quarter, where he just like catches the ball behind the 3-point line, turns around and just fires. Like, no set, just like, you're not, like, this ball's going in and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oakley also misses a wide open dunk in here where he's just like, there's nobody near him and he clangs it. Not the greatest. We get some Del Curry late in the first, early in the second. And like, I just can't, it's so hard to wrap my head around. Like, they just don't run plays where it's Del Curry coming off the screens. Like what is he in the floor for?
Yeah. So many of his 3-point shots are either contested or they're like, we'll get to the fourth. Like, he hits one in the fourth that we'll get to where it's just, he just like runs to the 3-point line and fires.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, the idea that there were any 3-point specialists back then is like mind boggling.
You can definitely see the imprint of Steph. It is sort of funny that like, if he gets an inch, he's firing it. I thought that was really cool, but they don't run plays for him. Like, they'll kick it to him on the elbow and hope that he jacks it, but they don't really run the play for him.
Not only do they kick it to Dell and hope, but they don't kick it to Dell. Like, they kick it to him when he's covered. That's what I didn't get.
Yeah.
There's so many plays where like they find him on the elbow, but there's a man on him and he's like, well, I guess I'm shooting anyway.
Like, the Raps, they get it down to 2 in the second quarter, but it ends with a bad run. The Raptors go into halftime down 8. Iverson with 13 points and 9 assists. He is getting swarmed every time he touches the ball. So he's finding guys, 2 big steals, 5 of 17. Vince, 11 points, 4 assists, 4 boards, 3 of 10. So the 2 stars combined 8 for 28 in the first half. Not great. Not a lot of fun to watch those 2 guys for shots.
17 shots from AI in the first half.
As bad as the Raptors offense is, man, the Phillies offense is, Iverson does everything, or they get a putback. There is no other plays. It's unbelievable. And those guys play every minute.
I was thinking about this rewatching the game yesterday, and then when we were talking in the first episode about this, I remember this at the time too, and I don't think this is revisionist, but like, it was weird watching this series, loving this team, being so in the tank and so on board, and still the whole time being like, oh, they're gonna get just fucking smoked by the Lakers.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned, because, you know, I think we both remember this as so important and so crucial. Like, there's a whole other series after this they would have had to win still. Like, Philly has to play the Bucks next, the Ray Allen Bucks, who were very good.
And like, but it's just like, but no matter what, even like watching this Philly team, it's like, of course they got destroyed by the Lakers.
Yes.
Like, no one in the Eastern Conference even had a chance.
That is true. Other big takeaways here. Mo Pete and Alvin Williams do not score at all in the first half, but they come out pretty hot in the third. 12 points combined on 6 of 10 shooting. Mo Pete especially hot, 3 of 4, and then doesn't play again after the third quarter. What's up with that? One
of the many odd choices by Lenny Wilkens. It's weird because like, he was a rookie.
Yes.
But to your point, he was a 23-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
And he was sort of even in that first quarter when everything's sloppy and like his offense was sloppy, his defense was like right there. He was taking charges. I think he takes 2 charges in the first half. He's swarming like everywhere he's supposed to. He's covering the passing lanes. I think there is sort of what you alluded to with AD. I think there's an alternate history where there's AD and Mo Pete on the floor a little more in the fourth, or at all in the fourth in Mo Pete's case, where maybe it goes the other way, especially in like a tight game like this. Like, I think we have some sort of revisionist coaching in our brains.
Yeah.
But like, put your lockdown guy on the floor in the fourth quarter of a game that's already tight and sloppy.
Yeah. My last 2 notes in the second quarter were Chris Childs is a terrible passer. He is a terrible passer. And
for as much as I was in the tank on this team, I hated Chris Childs.
Hated Chris Childs. And my other note is Mo Pete hasn't done a single thing well on offense yet. Was my note, which was true. We move into the third quarter. As I said, Mo Pete goes off 3 for 4. AI gets hurt.
The Rockets extended their defense as well. Nice ball fake from Iverson. He gets hit hard as he goes down. Mutombo blocked from behind by Davis. Mutombo gets it again, and a foul call on Antonio Davis. Lenny Curry, the longtime veteran trainer in Philadelphia, he says that Iverson's pain threshold is off the charts, like he's never seen on another player.
But we haven't seen this. The look on his face right now, one of severe pain.
He drives in and falls right on his tailbone. And that sort of comes up in the next, he wincing the next couple possessions, but still playing really hard. Vince gets quadruple teamed on a post thing. And I can't, man, my next 3 points are all like littered with exclamation points. It's just like, they don't attack mismatches.
No, never.
Vince he's got Tyrone Hill, who's a power forward at the elbow, and Oakley doesn't move. Oakley posts up. It's like what?
The lack of motion on offense back then is really like bizarre.
Yes.
Like it was very much like you have your 1 through 5, and 1 does this, and 2 does this, and 3 does this, and 4 does this, and 5 does this. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny, like even looking at like the Laker teams that absolutely dominated this era, they weren't that different from that.
Totally.
They just
happened to have Shaq.
They had Shaq and Kobe and a bunch of other good role players. But I guess it took, I don't even know what the first team that sort of bucked this and changed it up. I guess, are we waiting till LeBron came in? Like,
well, the Suns, the 7 seconds or left Suns.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But they never won anything.
Yes,
I guess the Spurs.
Conversation.
I guess the Spurs. You have Manu kind of doing all the European influence and everything.
But man, Vince getting a power forward on the elbow like that, it's at worst it's free throws. At worst it's free throws. But they don't even run it.
And even if he drives in as he does against that, he's going to get swarmed. Then you have 4 guys open.
And the play-by-play, Doug Collins and Bill Walton, not happy with Vince. They're really critical of Vince. I don't know if you were listening. Like, they are really, really into AI because he is forcing the issue. And they're like, Vince needs to be more selfish. 2:30 left. He finally gets to the line with that and one with the arm way out. But I think the story of the first 3 quarters and a little bit in the fourth as well, Jermaine Jones, man.
What a like pre-2019 Raptors thing. There's always one guy. But like, for it to be game 7 of a completely stars-dominated series, even if you want to extend the star definition to Antonio Davis,
sure.
If you want to extend it to Dikembe Mutombo, whomever, Charles Oakley, whatever, for the Raptors to just get absolutely smoked in game 7 by Jermaine Jones is so very pre-championship Raptors.
There's a guy on the Nets that is like your 2010 Jermaine Jones. I can't remember his name, but man, oh man. Oh boy. Jermaine Jones, for me, the big thing that Jermaine Jones did was expose me to the fact that Jerome Williams was not very good. I remember as a kid, you love JYD because he's energy and he's rebounding and he's toughness. And man, does he lose Jermaine Jones every time on the offensive glass. Ugh. I'm screaming at JYD.
We talked this a little bit in our sort of pregame notes here, but like JYD wasn't very good.
No, he was not.
Like he brought great energy, great, like all that, but like it was not very good.
Yeah, he's Pop Spencer Bonsu. Like he was.
Yeah, 100%.
He like if your thing is rebounding, you should be getting rebounds. The Raptors give up 15 offensive boards in this game, including 9 to Dikembe Mutombo alone, which, I mean, it is what it is, but the Jumaine Jones putbacks, every one of them is a backbreaker. Man, oh man.
And just for the record, for Jumaine Jones, the rest of his career, he went to Cleveland after this season and played 2 full seasons there, then played 4 more seasons with 4 different teams and was out of the NBA. He averaged 4.7 points per game this season with Philly.
And he put up 16 points in 30 minutes.
In game 7.
Unbelievable. Another small thing that happens, the Raptors give up 2 loose ball fouls underneath their own basket in the final minutes. It's 4 free points, and they end up going into the fourth quarter down 69-66. If Mo Pete doesn't bump Iverson and Oakley doesn't push a guy out of bounds underneath his own basket, they're probably going into the fourth quarter up, which is important because the Raptors win the second, third, and fourth quarters.
Yeah, which is, even watching the game, I didn't really realize.
Yeah, Philly scores 31 in the first quarter, and then they don't score more than 20 points in a quarter the rest of the way. Some hilarious things. Philly attempts 8 3-pointers in this entire game. 8! Iverson alone should be taking 8, even though he's not, like, unbelievable that both teams combine to go 6 for 22 from deep. That is, one team alone would shoot that in a half now, basically. That's crazy. Totally crazy.
You know what makes that stat makes me really appreciate? Ray Allen. Just like his existence in this era and thriving. It's like, how?
Yeah, we talked about Del Curry. We talked about, is so weird for there to be a 3-point specialist. For his career, Del Curry averaged 2.9 attempts per game.
What?
Yeah.
That seems impossible.
That was a 3-point bomber back in the day. That's if you were a 3-point bomber, you averaged you took 4 a game max. Like it's crazy. It's just
that's crazy.
It's completely ridiculous. Like you even look at someone like Reggie Miller. Like he averaged 4.7 attempts per game from 3.
It's funny, like how it's one of those things where looking at that stat, and like I'm not saying they weren't great shooters because obviously they were.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like looking at sort of old 80s hockey stats.
Yeah. Where
it's like, they're great shooters, but like, can you call them the best 3-point shooters of all time if they're only taking 5 a game?
Right. For reference, James Harden averaged 12.6 attempts in the 2020 season from 3.
So 4 times that.
Basically 3 times. Basically 3 times as much as Reggie Miller per game.
And I assume it's at similar percentages too.
Yes and no. Harden about 35%, Miller 39%. So yeah, more or less. Del Curry was a 40% 3-point shooter, but he didn't.
But he's hitting 1.5 of 4.
Yes,
a game more
absolutely
or less.
Nailed it. So through 3 quarters, it's 69-66, which is a halftime score in 2020. Sort of incredible when you think about that. Philly had scored 31 in the first quarter alone and went into the fourth quarter with 69 points.
Yeah, really. I mean, to your point, like it's both the defensive schemes of the time and also like this was a pretty locked down game. Mm-hmm. Like it was not to overuse the cliche, but like both teams fought for every point in this one. There weren't a lot of easy buckets.
I can't handle how many times guys take a shot 1 step inside the 3-point line. Like it's 1 step. Just step back and take the 3, even if it doesn't go in. Crazy. I must say also the crowd around this time starts to really get into it. It starts to like,
oh yeah,
it starts to be really, really cool. And we are through 3 quarters. Raptors down 3. You know what comes next. It is the fourth quarter of Raptors 76ers from May 20th, 2001. Game 7. The shot before the shot, coming up in the next episode.